In June 2017, there was an attack on London Bridge, which saw 8 people lose their lives. Many people were left injured, and many people were traumatised by the attack.
But yeah, it was just an awful night.
London is home to 10.6 million people. For some, it may seem like a concrete jungle built around iconic landmarks, but it's a multicultural city built upon unity.
Being in London, you get to know lots of people's cultures and different people's backgrounds, and everyone just lives together and works together in harmony, so to speak.
This documentary tells the story of how 2 people are caught in the crossfire on June 3rd, 2017.
I was born and raised in London. I lived here all my life, 25 years. Growing up, it wasn't easy all the time. You know, I went to an all-boys school, it can be a bit rough, but you learn street smarts, you learn how to handle yourself, and you, being in London, you get to know lots of people's cultures and different people's backgrounds, and everyone just lives together and works together in harmony, so to speak.
I've lived in London all my life. I live with my wife and my kids, and I work as a sole trader. I run my own business, my own catering business, where we provide food at nightclubs all around London, including places like Ministry of Sound, Fabric, Troxy, and various places like that.
On that day, we got a train up to London. It was my friend's birthday on the day, and we got a nice meal first, Nando's. Then it was like around 6:30. It was a sunny day. It was a summer's evening, and we had a few beers next to the river. Then we headed to the London Bridge, watched the final. Yeah, it was a Champions League final. It was really busy, but the atmosphere was electric. Everyone was just like in high spirits. It was a good game. Yeah, we had bets on. I had Real Madrid to win, so I got like £20, which made it even more enjoyable. After the game, we wanted to go for another drink. We ended up at a bar in Borough Market.
Saturday night, Borough Market. Bars were flooded with people as they peacefully watched the Champions League final.
It was a warm summer evening, and we had a barbecue that night, and we had all the family round. We was actually watching football, and I remember feeling gutted because I had to leave early because I had to go to work. I left around 9 o'clock, said goodbye to my wife and my little boy, told them that I love them, as you do, and off I went. Jumped in the car, and it normally takes me around 30 minutes. I was actually working at Ministry of Sound that night, which is in Elephant and Castle. So the route I had to take would be via Tower Bridge, but the traffic was quite busy that night, so it sort of diverted me, and unusually enough, I had to go over London Bridge. So it was around 10 p.m. I arrived on the north side of London Bridge, heading south, and it was busy. It was busy on the bridge, and as I sort of headed towards, as I reached the end of the bridge, I noticed a white van on my right-hand side had mounted the pavement, and at first I thought it was an accident or a diversion or something, but then I noticed very quickly it was knocking people out of the way, and that all of a sudden it was chaos. And then I sort of kicked into gear what was going on, and it was clear what was happening. It was a terror attack, and this driver was actually meaning to knock these people out of the way. it was chaos. It was just panic.
A white van mounted the London Bridge pavement, knocking down pedestrians at high speeds. The van then crashed into a wall, armed with knives. 3 attackers started to stab people at random through Borough Market.
So at this point, we were all a bit drunk after having a couple more drinks in Borough Market, but we still had our wits about us. So we were having a drink and we went out for a smoke, and then suddenly we just saw like a large group of people. They were just running, screaming, coming through the market. First we thought it was like something to do with like a gang or something, or a fight was going on, and the people were scared from that. But we were a bit precautious because of that at first, and then we started to see a number of people falling to the floor from the distance. So we kind of sort of ran over for a second. We kind of ran over towards it, but then just the vibe, the whole thing was just chaotic, and we just had that instinct to run. So we just looked at each other and we were like, let's get out of here, let's just run. So we just kind of ran off, but we didn't know where we were going, what we were doing, what was happening. So I just remember vividly somebody shouting, it's terrorists.
So as I drove past the van, which was on my right, I noticed people were running around, they were screaming, and that's when my adrenaline kicked in. And I thought, you know, maybe should I get out and help these people that were injured? But I basically just continued to drive, and I pulled over onto the left once I reached underneath the bridge. I pulled over and I got out and looked around, and people were still running around, so I tried to call the police and ambulance services, and basically when I got through, they just told me that help was on its way and other people had called through, and so I got back in the car and just headed towards work.
The scene was chaos. People were bleeding, people were holding their face, people hurt themselves from running away, like their hands were bleeding. There was people shouting, screaming. It was horrific. It was just nothing that you wanted to see. At the time, people were running around. They were warning everybody, but at the same time, there was a lot of people that, you know, there was a strong sense of resilience, that people kind of collected together and kind of was attacking, fighting back, throwing like chairs and glass bottles from the bar, and, you know, pint glasses at the attackers. People were just, you know, people really did come together. I would say the attack left hundreds of people traumatized, including myself, but I wasn't one of those people that were right in the center of it. I really, my heart goes out to the people that lost their lives, and it really does, like, a lot of respect for the people that were heroes in it and were fighting back at the attackers and hand in hand.
By the time I got to work, it was clear that word had got round that there was an attack in the area, and we got into the venue and the whole place was just on lockdown. The police in the area came to the venue. They kept us inside, and we were locked in the main room of the club till about 3 in the morning. I was just in complete shock. I was shaking. I was close to tears. It was just because I'd been so close to where it actually happened. I just couldn't really sort of work out what was going on, other than I was safe, so I called home. But yeah, it was just an awful night.